So this weekend you went out to Epcot, is that right?
I did. I went to the
Was it
Epcot.
was
And I
it a
haven't been in
beautiful
forever.
weekend?
Yeah, so let me tell you. I mean, you've lived here. You know,
Yeah.
you kind of live in the South, but you're north of me, so I consider
Right,
you a
I'm a
Yankee.
Yankee, exactly.
But this is one of the best times of the year. It's the best and worst times of the year here because the weather is fantastic. The humidity finally stops. It's not, summer tourist season, so it doesn't quite have the same people that, or, crowds that it usually does. And Food and Wine comes, which is one of our favorites. I think we talked about that before. It's a bad time of year, though, because everything happens between, like, now and March. It's like every weekend there are 3 or 4 things, in various places that you want to go do. So on Saturday, the Makers Faire was in Orlando, which I
Yes.
love going to that. Love the Makers
Yes.
Faire. I love seeing people geek out on anything that they're into. It's fantastic. So we did that on Saturday after the boys' soccer game. And then on Sunday, it was a gorgeous day. It was like one of those just fantastic, a little chill in the air, felt like fall, at least Florida fall, no humidity. And there was a ton of stuff that we were supposed to get done at the house. It's, we're still unpacking, 7, 8, 9 months after our move, and, we got just lots of things to do.
Yeah.
And I looked at Melissa and I said, so I think you got a choice here, honey. I said, we can either stay home and we can do all of these things that we have to get done, or you can take a peek outside and we can say, screw all that, let's go to Epcot. So guess what she picked?
She wanted to stay at home.
Yeah, so she picked, because Food and Wine, because we love Food and
Because
Wine.
anybody would pick that.
You would think, right?
I would
But,
hope.
Well, but we have a lot of stuff to get done. So,
Yeah, but I mean,
and it's
come on.
holiday time, and so there's
There will
decorating
be
and-
a cold, rainy weekend coming up. So
don't
save
you
it for
jinx
that.
me. Don't you jinx me. So anyway, so we decided to go out, and we didn't rush out there, though, because we wanted to kind of time it to be there dinner time-ish, late afternoon, whatever, so that we can kind of do dinner. So we went out, and I'm always nervous, me. I say to everybody that cares to listen, there are 2 factors to go into a theme park that affect my ability to have fun there: crowds and weather, right? Heat, right?
Yeah.
I can take one of those, not both. So unfortunately, in Florida at Disney World, usually it's both. But this time it was just one of them. The weather was not a factor. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful, but it was crowded.
What?
It was crowded. Which, I mean, yeah,
Get
you say that, but it's, I thought, well, it's Sunday.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's the most crowded day for Epcot.
Is it really?
Oh my God.
Well,
yes.
no, I don't. But specifically Food and Wine, because this is a whole different. And we might have to do this entire podcast about Food and Wine, because the Food and Wine, I don't know if you know this, it brings out an entirely different crowd
Yes,
than who is
yes.
usually at Epcot.
I was looking
And
at Twitter on Saturday, and they showed a picture that they said every booth was 20-minute wait, at least a 20-minute wait.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So because that's in years past, and we've been doing this for a long time. We talked about that before. And so we've seen Food and Wine go from a little-known thing that people are like, oh, what is this? Something's happening? What's going on now? To, like, this is a massive event that that people gather in literally, what's the word I'm looking for? Gangs, right? I saw more people with some version of "Let's Get Drunk Around the World" 2016 shirts than I have ever had. Like, everybody had their own shirt. Like, it was like the Jets and the Sharks were going around the Epcot to get their booze.
Yeah.
So we've seen it, and last year, the year before, the last 5 years, it's really been a test of patience, because you're right, it would be a 20-minute line, especially in some of the key booths like Germany and Canada,
Right.
so forth.
Right.
So I was bracing myself this year, and it could be kind of a drag, because especially if you're making it like, we're not big drinkers. So it's mostly about the food part for us. We want
Right.
to sample some different foods and, make it like a dinner thing. And so, it's kind of a drag if, okay, you walk a little bit, get to a booth, and you stand in line for 20 minutes, and then you get food. And here's my $15 for my tiny plate of food. Thank you. And but this year was weird. So we get there. The parking lot was clearly, there was a lot of people there. Do you know they have something called? By the way, parking
Mm-hmm.
lot. Do you know how they have something called? I can't remember what the exact word was. Premium parking or something? Preferred parking? Do you know they have this?
Yeah, for an extra cost.
Yeah. When did this show up?
Um,
And is it all the
few
time?
months
or is
ago.
Okay. You know what that extra? You know how much it is?
I want to say $35.
Yeah, $35 to put my car somewhere.
Yeah.
$35.
Yep.
And it looks like the parking is like near where handicap parking is. So it kind of gives you that.
Well, it's the old AAA Diamond Parking.
Oh, is AAA not a diamond thing anymore?
No.
Oh, okay. Man, I'm so behind. Okay, yeah. So anyway, I was shocked at that. But okay. So we parked. and-
But for annual pass holders, I think it's only like $15 or something like that. If you wanted to pay and park there,
Oh,
you could,
that's
but it's
interesting.
it's discounted.
Okay. Well, I'm not doing that. But anyway, so yeah, so we did. I was kind of surprised, and it was crowded. I mean, we actually had to kind of find parking and whatnots. But we did. And my son was so excited. We left as kind of a surprise, so he was all excited when he saw that we were going there. And so we went in, and first we had to do some rides because this is a different experience going with a 5-year-old because most of the time we've gone before was just Melissa and I. Even last year we had a sitter, and for our anniversary we went out and that's what we did. So
Yeah.
it was a little bit different because I'm like, was the kid gonna have any fun going around around the world? Maybe if we just got him a little wine in each country, you'd be fine. So anyway, so there were a lot of people there, like a lot of people walking around, etc. But and I had done a fast pass for Spaceship Earth before we got there, but I didn't need it. It looked like the wait was 5 minutes or whatever it was. And like every ride except for Soarin' and the Frozen thing, every ride was like literally 5-minute wait.
Yeah.
So, well, you say that, but it was crowded, and it wasn't like everybody was at the World Showcase. There were a lot of people in Future World, so I don't know what they were doing. So there were no. It was crowded, but there were no lines for that. So we did a few rides. I don't know if you care or not. We did Spaceship Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Did Nemo.
Okay.
That's the kid. Yeah, the kid loves Nemo.
Yeah.
And what did we do after that?
Journey into Imagination?
Oh, I was so proud to you know what my son says to me?
What?
He's like, Dad. I said, yeah, Evan. Can we go on the land?
Nice.
Yeah, and my boy's asking to go on the land. I'm like,
Very
he
cool.
said his favorite ride Spaceship Earth. So yeah, he must be my
Nice.
son.
Good taste.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, so we did that. We did Journey into Imagination, which was kind of sad.
Yeah.
But it's better than not, I guess. So we did a couple
True.
of those. And then I lied and told our kid we were out of tickets, so we had to go get dinner. I said, son, you only get like 2 e-tickets, and they're gone.
You're so silly.
And so we go to World Showcase, and like we hit Canada. Tradition, we usually hit Canada first. It's right there, and we love the soup, the cheddar cheese bacon soup thingamajig.
Yep.
Which they actually changed it up a little bit this year. They served it with a like a pretzel roll kind of thing. Yeah, you seem like you know all this. I guess you're up on your news. But it was good. But so the thing that surprised me was there was no line at the food.
Really?
things.
That's awesome.
So we started there, and then we went clockwise, right? So,
Yes. Yeah.
huh? Yeah, clockwise,
Okay.
like a clock, right? So we
Yeah.
started there, like, and then
At
we worked
Canada.
our way. Yeah, and then we worked our way, towards Mexico and around.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because there are more
Well,
countries that have food that we'd want to do. So, like, the other way was like France, Morocco,
Yeah,
United
French
Kingdom.
food. Wow.
What do they know?
Right. So silly.
Well, I saw Ratatouille, so maybe they do. But no, I just for the things that we want, like we know we
I
want the
know.
things
I'm
from China.
joking. Of course.
what
Mexico,
else was there?
China,
Actually,
Germany.
we didn't do anything Mexico. Germany, we like to. Although they changed up the pretzel things in Germany
Italy.
this year.
Did
Didn't
they?
like them. It seemed like it. I don't know. They were a little different. Yeah. So anyway, so we must have done 4 different booths or so, 4 or 5.
Okay.
The longest wait I had, I kid you not, was 90 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
super fast. Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out what the difference is, and I can't. Except I have a couple theories. You want to know my theories?
I do.
Okay, so theory number 1 is Actually, not even theory. It was observed. They have more people with registers. I think, like China before
yeah.
might have had like 2 or 3 people, and now they had like 5, right? So they're getting them through there faster.
Good.
But even so, you figure, well, then the logjam would be in the picking up of the food because they can only cook that so fast, and those areas didn't seem any bigger than they'd been before. So I don't know what the difference might have been. So anyway, it just got through really fast. I used Apple Pay for everything, so it was like it didn't even cost money, and it was super fast. But here's my other theory. You ready?
Sure.
What did you say?
I said it's free.
It's free. I didn't even get out a credit card. Not only did I
Right.
not use cash, I didn't even use a credit card. So, anyway, shoot, what was I saying? Oh, so my theory. So, I believe they have more areas now that are purely about alcohol. They have a wine area, and they have a craft beer area. And so I think what's happened is they've added areas that pull the people that are there pretty much to treat Epcot like a bar, which drives me insane. But not that I mind drinking. I do my share of drinking, but just not at Epcot like that. I think it's pulling them out. So they're not waiting in line at Canada just to get, a Molson, right? So they're going to other places to go get it. So
Okay.
that's my theory. I have nothing to base it on other than just my own brain. But that's what I think. What do you think?
I think you're onto something. I think so many people go there for the alcohol that, especially on the weekends, because it's
Right.
the annual pass holders and locals and everything else. They go out just like you do, just to walk around and have a good time. and I think a lot of them are there to with friends and stuff, and they're drinking. And so yeah, if they separate out the where you can get the alcohol from a lot of the food, or just have additional areas for alcohol, I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And I hate to be all sort of prudish about it because it's not about the drinking for me,
No,
but it is, and even more so now that we have kids. It's a weird combination to have the two extremes of the type of people that are there. You got families that are there on their family vacation,
right,
that may not have even realized it was Food and Wine, and they're just trying
Sure.
to make their way around the countries.
yeah,
And then you have these hordes of people that are probably they're all in their late 20s, early 30s, or in that kind of range, that are there, and it's fine, but it's more of a festival kind of atmosphere for them. They're
Sure.
there to have fun and be rowdy and listen to music, and it's just this weird juxtaposition of yeah, that's right, big word, hang with me. Just these two different groups. It just feels weird, right? And even like we sat down to eat at Germany, and nice couple there. They were probably in their late 30s, whatever. But they were clearly hammered, and they even said, like, we've been working our way around this all day. I think we came twice this week or whatever. And like they started talking to Evan, and it's my son's name, and I don't know. It's just it felt weird. It doesn't feel like Epcot. It doesn't feel like it feels like a different kind of place. But
Yeah,
still,
you're right.
Still love it.
sure, and that's you're absolutely right. If I'm going there as a family, I might be going there for the Food and Wine Festival, but if I'm just an average Joe and I'm just going to Disney World, I may not even care about the Food and Wine Festival, and I want to go see the countries. I want to go to the movie in France. I want to go, and you have to fight all these people, and it's not it's not the same atmosphere as a normal day at Epcot, right?
Right.
And so Disney World has to walk this very fine line of offering, because things like this, the Flower and Garden Festival, the Food and Wine Festival, things like that are really more for locals than for tourists, right?
Right.
For the
Oh, yeah.
pure tourists. And so, but
Well, these were-
Disneyland can get away with a lot more of that because the majority of people that go to Disneyland are, relatively local. Disney World, people save up years and years to, and they have a blowout vacation with 4 theme parks and everything else. And so, Disney has to walk this fine line between being, offering, a lot for locals
Right.
While trying to still cater to the traditional tourist.
Right.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that it's a challenge for them. And it's just a balance that they have to make.
I don't even know if it's anything they can really control. I mean, it's not like they really hype up the drinking aspect of it. I mean, if anything, they focus mostly on the food, but it's such a known thing now. I mean, I even
Right.
work with people that never, ever, ever set foot in a Disney park. But during Food and Wine, they're out there at least once a week with their friends
Sure.
to party, right?
Right.
So, it's just strange. I don't even know that Disney can do anything about it. It's not terrible. It's just a
No,
weird.
it's
just a
not.
weird sort of. If nobody's been there during that time, don't get the wrong idea. It's not like, oh my god. It's just strange. It just adds a different
Yeah.
sort of undercurrent to it. But it was still a great day.
That's
going
awesome.
going back to my horrible visit to the Magic Kingdom back on my birthday. This totally made up for it. It was just it was a good day all around. My kid loved it, and that's so exciting to see him, enjoy the
Yeah.
things that I loved when I was a kid. So I was all ready for Epcot. I had my Epcot Center vintage T-shirt on.
That's
Well,
cool.
sort of-
Yeah,
sort of
you,
my
you
retro.
sent me a text of it, and I was like, oh, that's awesome to wear that.
You should put it in the feed.
there.
Do we have a feed?
Um,
Yeah, you should make one. Put that in there.
yeah.
Yeah, so I wore that. I actually got some comments on it, which surprised
Did you?
me. Yeah, because I thought, I don't know. I think I bought that at the 30th and 25th anniversary. Right?
Okay.
They came out with this sort of retro reissue.
Yeah,
It's
that's
sort of
right.
a reissue
It was
t-shirt.
around
It's
sure.
not- So believe me, I couldn't fit into any T-shirt I bought originally in the 80s. And it's all that sort of 80s neon pink, bright colors, whatever. And just some random guest there. He's just like, "Hey, man, awesome shirt." I'm like, "Hey, thanks, buddy." I gave
That's
him
cool.
the rock star fingers, and it was a
Sure.
moment. And then another time I went into those little shops where they sell all that Food and Wine stuff that they steal all your money. The
Yeah.
books and the posters and the poster this year is what, Figment, right? And
Yes.
my
Yes.
boy saw that, and he so wanted to get that, and we'll put it up in the house. I said, we're not getting that. But anyway, so we're in there, and the cast member there says, he sees my shirt, and I can't remember the exact
Yeah.
words, but he says something like, your shirt's out of date, or your shirt's wrong, or something like that. And I just looked at him. I said, not in my heart, it isn't. And he just kind of blinked a few times, and he's like, no, it's not called that anymore. And like he was he desperately wanted me to say to him like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, buddy, if I'm rocking this T-shirt,
Right.
I probably know what I'm doing. And excuse me, but I'm on a Disney podcast, so
That's right.
don't you know who I am? I gave him that thing. Like, do you know who I am? There was no payoff for that.
No.
But anyway, so that was kind of humorous that he really wanted me to have him explain it to me. And I'm like, man, you were born like 8 minutes ago. And,
Yeah.
I was here when Epcot was awesome. So don't tell me.
That is
But
so
anyway.
annoying, though. I mean, that is just so annoying. Whether it's a cast member or just a fellow visitor, it's just so annoying.
What part?
The
Be more specific, please.
I mean, trying to, it's clear you're wearing that for a reason, and to try people who try to show their knowledge of Disney, right? Like openly. I'm quiet all of the time, just in general.
Hey, let's start a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll hear everybody, right? You hear people on the monorail. Oh, we're going to Disney World today. It's like, oh, yeah, okay. No, it's really the Magic Kingdom you're going to. But and just things like. But I don't blurt it out. But other people, you hear, it's like, oh no. I mean, people will correct strangers and say, no, you're going to the Magic Kingdom today. And it's like, dude, really?
But you
just
do
let
that.
it go.
You just do it in your head.
I
But
do
you
it in my head. Of course I do it. But
Because you told me about it before.
But why do that?
Can you
it's-
believe you're like comic book guy from The Simpsons, but with Disney?
exactly.
Oh, these people.
Just silent. But but there are the comic book guy people who are the comic book
This guy,
guy people.
yeah,
that-
this guy was the comic book guy, and I
Right.
felt bad because it's whatever. It would have made him happy to give me the scoop, and I'm like, man, I was here
Right.
under the Epcot Center. Don't you dare. Try to give me
Right.
history.
I rode Horizons.
Oh,
Okay.
you mentioned Horizons. I saw. Did you know pin trading is still a thing?
Yes, and I don't understand why. I wish somebody could
I
sit me
kind of
down
do.
and- I mean,
I can't. I understand it. I can't believe it's still going on. But like they have that pin trading area right in the middle
Oh, yeah.
there. What is that area
yeah.
called? What is it? Does that have a name? The with the big triangle shade things and the
I don't.
whatever that thing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I guess on the weekends it's like an event. People come with their giant collections and they just
that's
swap.
great.
It's like a big swap. And
Yeah.
I was just shocked it's still a thing. I mean, I don't begrudge them if they enjoy it. Fine, but they're so expensive. I mean,
Yes.
we went through like a year where we bought a bunch. I even got
Mm-hmm.
like there was. Oh, I wonder if it's still around. There used to be a site where you could like do trading online. And not like eBay, but like you could post your extras of what you wanted to trade, and other people post things, and then you could make offers, and it was pretty good. Which actually, I'm kind of surprised you didn't get more into it, because it just seems like, I mean, you're a collector guy. It seems like you
Yes,
would have.
I am, but there's so many, and there's just no way to keep up. And being, I'd like to be complete my collections, and you just
Well,
you just
can't
know
complete
there's
that
no
collection.
way, and so it's like
No.
I'm not going to even start. And plus, like you said, the pins are not cheap.
They started off kind of cheap. I remember
They
like,
did.
in the
They were
very
like
in the
$6,
first.
$7 or something, but now they're like $15 each or
Yeah,
something.
well, they even have some that go $30,
right.
$40, $50. I think they get like nuts. Yeah, so and I was just surprised it was still as big of a thing as it was. But I don't know how I got on that. But oh no, because as part of that, I saw there was a Horizons pin on something, and I'm like, oh, Horizons.
Yeah, Horizons.
Yeah, but it was a good trip. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Best part was leaving at night. I sent you a picture. I took a picture of the spaceship Earth
Yeah.
with all its purple and blue lights on it, and I'm like, that's still just
Yeah.
just makes me happy.
You know,
Sad, but happy.
for all of Epcot's faults now, I mean, it's still at some times, certain times of the day or certain areas of the park or whatever, it's still Epcot,
Yeah, yeah. And I love that even that it can be massively crowded, but it's so wide. There's so much room. You don't
Yeah,
feel
right.
unlike the Magic Kingdom, which always it could just be a little crowded and it feels so jammed.
Yeah.
So there's always room there's somewhere you can move to kind of get out of the way. So it was nice. I was actually, I almost texted you. I was a little worried going to World Showcase with a 5-year-old. I'm like, what is he going to do while we're doing this? But the
Oh, no.
what?
My kids, oh my God, my kids love Epcot. And I mean,
What?
we took Glenn Paul when he was the first time, he was like 3 or something. And I mean, he loved Epcot then. Epcot's a great place.
World Showcase?
Even in World, oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
Well, what did they do in World Showcase?
They just walk around. We go in the movies. We just walk around. We go
but
shopping.
see, we weren't going to do any of that. We were just going to go
Okay.
for the food and wine stuff. But anyway, so they have these little booklets. I don't know if they've had them before. I know they have booklets like a guide of what food was in what countries.
Yeah.
But this year they made it like a little passport book. Where
cool.
they have little stickers, little black and white stickers for
Oh.
each country. And so we gave him a job. We said, hey, take this, and every country you see, take the little sticker off and put it in there. And he thought that was the best game ever, and so he had a great time. He didn't want to leave World Showcase.
That's
So,
awesome.
It was just good all around. So
We'll get into a little bit of. I have kind of that same discussion in our next segment.
okay, I'll let it go with that. But anyway, so this should balance out. I'm now at equal karma or whatever for my trips. This was a
Excellent.
trip.
That's good.
Daddy, tell me a human story.
Well, let's see. Once upon a time, there was this magical place called Disneyland. And inside Disneyland, there was a strange, deserted mansion. Then one day, the mansion became haunted by 999 ghosts.
Oh,
And now humans can visit the haunted mansion and get real scared.
Daddy, do you believe in humans?
I don't know, but I do believe in Disneyland.
All right, so next, I to kind of build on, or at least jump off of what you were talking about a couple minutes ago. So I was on eBay, which is dangerous. It's very dangerous because I find all kinds of cool stuff on eBay. And I started searching for. So everybody knows the Vinylmation, right? The little Mickeys with different paint jobs or whatever.
Yeah, the new pin trading.
Exactly. So they Disney came out, and I don't know if they're still doing them or not. But they did a series called Park Stars, and they're not in the Mickey shape. They're in the shape of whatever they actually are, but kind of caricature-ish. And so they had a in I think the second release of the Park Stars of Animations, they had Smart One, the little robot that used to be in Communicore,
Right.
who used to try to guess your age or where you're from or whatever it was. And Smart One's awesome, right?
Sure.
So I found him for like whatever, $10 or something. I'm like, okay. So it arrived, and
Wait, hang on. How many did you buy?
just one.
What?
Just one, yeah.
Okay. All right, you're letting me down. All right.
Well, the Orange Bird. I'd like the Orange Bird, but Orange Bird's like $150, and so I don't
Shut
have
up.
an Orange Bird.
What are they? These are just like little vinyl things?
Yes,
Like,
yes. Wow. So
and you
I think
spent
he was
$150.
I think he was like the chaser or something though. So he was limited or I don't know. Anyway, but so anyway, back to Smart One.
That justifies.
So
Yes,
I put
Smart One.
Smart One on my desk, right,
Okay.
with my Wally and with my Rex from Star Tours. And so my kids are like, "Hey, Daddy, what is that?" And I said, "Oh, that's Smart One." And they're like, "Well, what's Smart One?" I said, "Oh, let me show you." So we go to the TV. I put on.
I'm sorry. I had this mental. Hang on a second. I had this mental image of your older child just like punching the other one in the arm. Like, don't ask him that.
Close, but it was actually her asking.
Okay, well, the other way around. Like the other one just going, "Oh, not again."
Well, no, Big Glenn Paul loves robots, so he was
All
into.
right,
He was
all
like,
right.
"Oh," so it was a combined effort.
You're ruining my fun. But all right, go ahead.
I know. So I said, okay. So we went to YouTube, and I searched for Smart One, but nothing really popped up. And I said, "Oh, you know what? I subscribe to Martin and his videos, and I'd just like to say thank God for Martin and his videos because he." And I'll put a link in the show notes, but he has recorded so much of the Walt Disney World from the late 70s, mainly 80s, and captured it. And he's done some, ultimate video tributes. And he goes into the history and detail of each one, but he shows the video, and you can watch it and listen to it, and it's just fascinating. And so he has one that's Spaceship Earth 86 and Communicore. And so I started playing it, and I found Smart One, and I showed the kids, and they're like, "What is that? Like, why isn't that still there?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, because Disney changed, and they, this was back when computers were still a new thing, for the general public. They may not have actually touched a computer, and it was a place where people could go and look and touch and feel and interact with this new technology." And so they're like, but that is so cool. And I showed, the video kept going, and we saw where you could make your own roller coaster and quote unquote ride them. And then the other games, the flag game and stuff that they had. And they're like, "But Daddy, this would be awesome." Well, I don't understand why Disney got rid of this, because what they have now is there's nothing. We don't care about it. And I'm like, this is crazy that these kids are saying this. And we watched the in there. He had the backstage magic, so where you could see the inner workings of Epcot Center, and they explained how the reservation systems worked and the audio animatronic control system worked and things like that. And they were fascinated by it. And I just couldn't believe it, because I figured, they'll think it's hokey and boring and everything else, but they genuinely seemed interested in it.
No, I mean that is that's great. But it's frustrating because why then? I mean, here was a park that was built for that kind of entertainment's the wrong word, but that kind of interest. And
Right.
I actually thought about this because I mentioned before we did the Makers Faire prior to that.
Yes.
And that gets a lot of attention. There's a lot of interest in that. And, you have all this sort of movement of, it's almost like a new era of interest in technology at more of a smaller level of like building things yourself and doing things. And it
Right.
seems there's so much that if Disney wanted to, they could incorporate that. I mean, up to and including they could have the Makers Faire at Epcot. I mean, it seems
Sure,
like a
absolutely they could.
totally reasonable place to do that.
That's right.
So it's just kind of frustrating. They won't take it back to its intended roots.
Right. And schools are trying to teach integrate STEM into into
Right.
the schools. There's a push to learn coding at a young age to understand what it is. I mean, easily they could have exhibits set up to
Right.
introduce kids to coding and
Right.
just touching and feeling, Raspberry
Yep.
Pis and whatever else. Just
Yep.
there's so much opportunity now. I can understand for a while that, okay, computers became, common household devices and, smartphones and everything else. But like you said, it's like this new wave that's coming through.
Right, because we're now on the other side of that. Because people like, and I feel terrible, I can't remember his name, but the gentleman in the UK that started the Raspberry Pi movement, and and O'Reilly of O'Reilly Books that started the Makers movement. They're doing all these things because we did kind of hit that point where, that a generation they had so much technology just handed to them, and they were all in closed boxes, and they worked so great, but you didn't actually. You no longer had to build your own computer, right? So you lost touch with the roots of that, and that's why they made the Raspberry Pi and tried to make it cheap so that school-age kids could get in there and get their hands in the middle of it and really understand it. And there's so much going on with robotics now, and now with VR, and it's actually if you think about it, it's almost like the pendulum is swinging all the way back to when Epcot first started, right? Because that's what was going on in the 80s, right? Everybody was into building things and soldering and robots and then we kind of moved away from that because it all got commercialized and packaged up. But now we're way back in the other end of that spectrum. So bring Epcot back, darn it.
And it's affordable. Like people
Right.
can see it and touch it and then go and do it. Like they could, because in Communicor's day, you couldn't afford a computer generally.
Right.
It was still a couple years before the Macintosh came out. Yes, there was Apple II and Commodore and everything else, and those were great sellers, but it still wasn't. Everybody didn't have one.
Right.
But now, you can buy a Raspberry Pi for $40. You can download software if you like if you like the coding that you're doing there. You can download software to do it yourself. It's accessible now, which is awesome. So it's almost like it could be a launching point for people. You get them started, get them interested, and then they can go off and do their own thing.
So I'm going to be old disappointing curmudgeon guy now.
Okay.
But the problem is you would need somebody at Disney that wanted that saw that vision for Epcot and would push in that direction. And it's clearly they just don't care, right? It's
Nope,
just
not
it's
at
just
all.
it's just another park. They should call it JAAP. Right? It's just another park.
Yep.
Well, whatever. So it's fun. Well, a little confession here. So, my first trip to Disney World was '84, whatever it was. Fell in love with Epcot. We talked about it before. But do you know I have pretty much zero memory of Communicore? Like everything I know about it is from what I've read and like the tribute videos and things.
Really?
Which seems it's baffling
that's a
to me
shame.
because I remember so much of it, and maybe it's just I remember pieces of it, but I don't know. Part of it was I was there with step family that they'd been before, and so they kind of like edited what my experience was. And like, that's not that interesting. Let's go, ride this other thing or whatever. So I do remember spending it. So I think we spent most of our time on rides, and ImageWorks, was it called ImageWorks originally?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that kind of stuff. But yeah, so actually, what's kind of sad is not only is it not Communicore anymore, but I walked in on this last trip, and we walked in the what would it be, the right side if you're facing the park, past the art store,
Yeah.
and it was I gotta get my east and west right.
Well,
Whatever
that's west.
Okay, so west, Interventions West. It didn't even have the sign Interventions on it anymore, and
Right.
I guess it had become a Visa card member waiting area or rest area or something.
Yeah.
But they even closed that. There was a sign on it. It was completely boarded up, and they're like, "Oh, if you want the Visa card member rest area, you got to go somewhere else." So it's just it's not even they're not even using it for the thing that replaced the thing that made it even interesting to begin with. So
Right.
that's
So as of today, there's only one exhibit in Innoventions, and
what a shame.
I think they're just that recently opened too. So that was an odd thing, but everything else is closed on both sides of Innoventions except for this one thing. It comes up in rumors every now and then. It's like, okay, what are they going to do? Are they going to tear it down? Are they going to, what are they going to do? Because it is so empty and it's so obvious that it's empty. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
But
it's prime real estate, right? I mean, it's right there.
It's right in the
it's
center of.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of. It was supposed to be the
right
community core, right?
Hey,
so
those
weird.
clever people.
Yeah. So it's Future World needs so much help. It's sad. World Showcase. It's almost like it's preserved in amber, right?
Well,
it's
with one exception, but
with
yes.
one exception. But I mean, so it's doing its thing, right?
Yep.
And so
because
we're not going to talk about it.
People understand what it is. The
Right.
people at Disney, I'm speaking. Hello, people at Disney. They understand what it is. It's a celebration of those cultures, right? And it kind
Sure.
of gives those feelings. So yeah, that's kind of easy. But they don't seem to understand what Future World was supposed to be about.
Right.
So
anyway,
how do we help? So how do we help them? Is there anything we can do about that? I mean, do we write
I wish
letters
there was.
and
Not to go on and bash Disney, but it's all about and it's a business. I'm trying to calm myself down before I get nuts.
Now, see, this is right. Pause. This is where you don't understand showbiz, brother. This is where you need to go off the rails. And
I know.
Have you not been watching the electoral process here in the United States? You need to go.
I have no idea
lose,
what you're talking about. So
you need to lose your temper and just roll with it.
So the. Oh golly!
This is not the show you envisioned, is it?
So I before anybody listening kills me, I completely understand it's a business, and the purpose of their business is to make money for their shareholders, and I completely understand that. That being said, I have always, and many people have always held Disney in a different regard. Disney used to have a soul to it, and it used to have a purpose, and it used to, and that soul and purpose survived Walt Disney. It kept going, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna everybody, because Michael Eisner, to an extent, continued that, and he recognized at least that Disney was a different company and it did have a soul, and he tried as best as he could to continue that. He brought in all of the synergy and everything else, which I have no problem with, but he still at least tried to do it with somewhat original intellectual property. But he, when Frank Wells died, he made some wrong decisions, and he kind of doomed himself to where even I was ready for him. It was time for a change. And Bob Iger got in there, and Bob Iger is a pure businessman, and you cannot doubt anything that he has done, because he has done nothing but make record profits for the Walt Disney Company, which is awesome. But it came at at a cost of Disney Soul. It's just simply every day that goes by, it just goes away little by little. So no, Chris, that will not happen. You will not have somebody get in at Disney and say, hey, you know what? I think we need to do this, revive Interventions and put this type of, exhibits in these type of exhibits in there, unless somebody like a Google or an Apple or Facebook, somebody sponsors it. I mean, that's the only shot that we could have. So now I'll get down off my soapbox.
I've known you for a long time, and that was barely a soapbox for you. So, but so where does Epcot? I know this isn't what you intended for this segment, but
Yeah.
Where does Epcot go from here? I mean, if you're Disney,
I don't know, because
where do
so
you
here's
take
the
it?
deal.
Especially
so
Future
here's
World. What is
right.
is it just going to be, because the problem you have is if it's yours and you run it, the problem you have is you already have some cornerstones that are in place that sort of set what that park's theme is supposed to be about. So, and that's what its problem is right now, is it has those, but they're not really doing anything more with it. So it's just sort of like, it's all diluted and not really.
It's like it's a bastardized
meaning.
version of it.
So where do you take it from here? I mean, do you take
I don't
out?
know,
Do you like, you know what? Take out Spaceship Earth. Let's put a roller coaster in that thing, and I mean, what do you do with it? What do you think Disney is thinking about doing with it?
I don't know. There's so many rumors that you read and hear and everything else. I don't know. I'll say it right now. I have no idea what's true and what's not true.
Yeah, right. But I mean, what do you think if you put yourself in their headspace, where do you think they would take it?
I think the
people
latest,
that bring you Avatar Land. Just keep that.
Well, I think the latest horrible rumor that we've heard, that I think is probably true, is that Universe of Energy will be demolished and a Guardians of the Galaxy ride attraction will go there. If that happens, that's it. I mean, there's no turning back. You cannot go back to having Epcot Center. You cannot have, and to your point, when we first started this, is that it's just another theme park to the Disney executives now.
Right.
That's exactly what that signals. It is not the place for a Guardians of the Galaxy attraction. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I have no problem with it. Put it in Hollywood Studios all you want. Heck, I would even be willing to have it in Tomorrowland. I think that would be a more natural fit than in Future World of Epcot Center.
Yeah. Well, in a way, I mean, it feels like anyway that just lump everybody together, that Disney, that's how they kind of see Future World, is like just another Tomorrowland, right? Which Tomorrowland, so we talked about it last time, Tomorrowland itself has struggles with finding its identity, right? So they have kind of these two areas that don't.
So if Glenn is in charge,
Yeah.
Journey into Imagination goes back to its original format.
Which, by the way, side note, so I wrote that, I haven't written in a long time. And so I'd forgotten. Like, it's so sad. Like, the very first thing you go to, the very first thing you go to, which used to be that wonderful Dreamfinder thing, but I don't know what it is, a bicycle blimp thing, whatever.
Right.
And it's just like 4 TV screens. It's just so like, oh, it's so. It'd be like going to the Sistine Chapel. Yeah, okay, a horrible bloated analogy time. Go to the Sistine Chapel and go, all those, old paints up there. Let's put a nice, popcorn ceiling up there and call it a day.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. Okay, so you put that back.
The land, you know what? No changes. Leave it as it is. Soarin'.
Honestly, I'm shocked that the land has survived like it has.
Well,
for as long as it has.
that's another one where you don't want to talk about it too much.
Yeah.
Because then somebody's going to realize, oh wait, we have this boat ride that we could be, have 18 gift shops there instead, and so.
But it's almost like the last little vestige of what it is, right? Of what Epcot was supposed to be, right? There really is not much
Spaceship
else.
Earth. I mean, say what you will.
Yeah, fair.
So Spaceship Earth.
Well, hold on.
All right, go ahead.
So because we rode Spaceship Earth, and I'm like, and now in the current incarnation of Spaceship Earth, the first half of it I'm like, oh, Spaceship Earth, I love you so much. And then we get to to where all the good stuff stops, and it's just lights hanging in darkness, and
I know,
and nothing.
but-
And you turn around and you go backwards through nothing, and you play a stupid video game. So it's like half the ride is completely ruined.
Okay, all right.
I mean, it completely might be.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't say
you know what I mean?
completely. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But it's still about communication. It's still about
Yeah.
the history
No,
of
you're right.
communication. Still,
Yep.
still relates that to everybody. You know. So I still give it a check and say, okay, it's part of the original Epcot.
Yeah.
Living Seas, unfortunately, I don't think you can undo Nemo. I think it's, especially with, finding Dory out now and everything else. At least for the next decade, you can't touch it. It is what it is.
But I don't even know if they have to. I mean, one, it's a kind of family favorite on our side, so it's we like that. But I kind of like, as long as they keep the other aspects of it and
Yeah.
talk about conservation
It's-
and
right.
everything
It's-
else that goes along with it. It's okay. It's a good hook to bring people into it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how many
I'll
people
give you
really
that.
went to Seabase Alpha before they put
Don't
that
even
in?
say it. Don't say it. Okay, okay.
What?
I don't want to hear that.
But it's true, right? I mean, you got it.
I loved it.
Well, I know you did. I did too. But I'm just saying overall, right? I mean.
Okay, fine.
So if you talk about mission, right? So let's say, kind of like Animal Kingdom, right? Animal Kingdom has a stated mission, right? To educate and entertain and forgetting Avatar Land. So let's say they redid the mission statement for Epcot and said, our goal is to educate and entertain about conservation and technology, etc. You need to do things to entertain people to get them interested in the message that you're trying to give them. So I think as long as it's in a balance, right?
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's true. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Interventions, I would make into what it, not what it was when it was Communicore, although I would love that. But I mean, but when it was Communicore, it furthered the education of some of the pavilions, right? So, Universe of Energy, you would leave there, and then the closest thing, you'd go into the Energy Exchange, and they would have hands-on and activities for you to do to learn about electricity and energy and things like that.
Right.
So I would bring back more of that. That would be where, let's just call it the maker area, right?
Yeah.
Would be.
Yeah.
So that's what we do with interventions.
Let's call it like they called it before, a permanent World's Fair. We'll call it a permanent Maker Fair.
There you go.
Can we kind of do that? Okay.
Yes. And then on the other side, Universe of Energy, it does need to be updated. I'm not going to lie.
It's not 1993 anymore.
Right, update it with the current challenges we have with energy and
There's a lot going on in that area, right? I mean, look, electric
my
cars
God.
are on the brink of
Absolutely.
becoming mainstream. Countries have even said in the next 10 years in some cases, no more gasoline cars.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Yep.
There's a ton. So let's update it. Let's keep let's educate people but do it. Let's entertain them while we do it. Here you go. I would open up Wonders of Life once again with our country with obesity being such a huge factor in our country.
I tell you,
what's so wrong with having a pavilion that's geared toward learning about having a healthy lifestyle?
So I was shocked when they shuttered that, because they seemed like they were shuttering it right as society was becoming more interested in being healthy.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there was one topic that was a universal topic, it's health, well-being, life, all those things. I mean, there's it's an endless amount of things you could do around that. I have no idea why that got treated like it did, and especially now. I mean, everybody's got their not that we're any healthier for it, but everybody's got their Fitbits and Apple Watches tracking their
exactly
their
Thank
metrics
you.
about their health and everything. I mean, like, come on, you can't turn a story out of that. And going back to now, I'm going to get on my rant box here. So going back to what you said before, I understand it's a business, but you know what, a business and having a purpose or a mission don't have to be mutually exclusive. It doesn't. you can make money and have a reason for making that money. And I think the millennials, the generation, that's really kind of hitting peak stride right now, I think they know that, right? That's at least the younger people I work with, they're looking for that. They look for, whether it's employment or the products they buy or the things they go do, there's much more focus on, I don't just want the thing or whatever. I want an experience, and I want to feel like it's part of a bigger thing.
Right.
And, current attendance figures don't bear it out, but it just seems like at some point Disney might have to get on that train.
But Disney has this whole section of their company, Run Disney. Like, they have marathons every other weekend,
Right.
it seems
Well,
like.
it's true.
Whether
Yeah.
in Disney World or Disneyland or Disneyland Paris. I mean, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
And, like, they have New Balance sponsoring those,
Right.
the marathons.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So, are you telling me, like, New Balance wouldn't want to sponsor an exhibit in the Wonders of Life to show,
Crazy.
about getting people interested in running so they would buy their product?
Right.
I mean, I just don't get it.
So when you add up all these things, and think about all the things we talked about, right? So strong emphasis on STEM education, or STEAM, I've seen it referred to now. I don't remember what the A
Arts
stands for.
Arts.
Oh, arts. Okay. So STEM or STEAM, the interest in there, the maker movement that's happening, the focus on health and biometrics and or not biometrics, but what do you call it? Whatever, measured health. But with all the Fitbits and trackers and these things. Just all this stuff that's happening. It seems so easy for them to just say, you know what? Let's use that wave, and publicize the hell out of it. That Epcot, more than just a theme park, right? Something that has some substance to it. And the world people are so much more tied in now to what's happening in the world in different regions and more aware of it because of the democratization of information through social media, et cetera, that you have all that through World Showcase and stuff. It's just what's frustrating for me is it seems like right now is a time where if you brought back the original mission of Epcot, that thing should be shining like a beacon on a hill, because it represents everything that's happening right now.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right. Well, all right, Disney. Any of you people out there, I got. I don't want to speak for Glenn, but hey, I'd be glad to participate, and let's do something with that park. It seems like such a waste.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, still had a good time.
Good.
Regardless.
Excellent.
Was there anything we didn't cover about Communicore? I think I pulled us on some rants.
I think we covered it.
Yeah, but you kind of start off talking about the tribute videos. Those, I love those things. They're awesome. I think a lot of work's gone into that. And, so if you didn't get to see these things originally, you can kind of virtually feel them that way.
And that's really cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Chris, do you have a charity to highlight this week?
I do, and I'm really bad at these spots. I'm going to try not to drone on. And I'm just going to say, if I didn't say it before, I want to say it again. Not badgering anybody to give money, not badgering to say support any one charity over another. Just, kind of going back to my point about Epcot, and it's okay to have a higher purpose with doing something. I just want to highlight some things that maybe people forget about, because we all get busy in our lives, and we forget sometimes other people need some help. And the great thing is that there's some awesome organizations already out there that do that. So. The one I want to talk about today was United Way.
Okay.
I like United Way because it is. There are lots of great charities that cover specific things. They're diabetes or heart disease or et cetera. I like United Way in that it's a sort of meta or help organization. There are lots of different things that they provide assistance to in a lot of different ways. And what I like is if you're one that does give money to charities, when you do that with United Way, you can even earmark. What kinds of programs you want to support, whether they're families, mothers, children, inner city stuff, if they're more recreation things that are related, health and fitness awareness stuff. So you can really kind of pick and say, I want my money to go to this. Or if you don't, like me, I just generally, I'm going to let them figure it out and figure out where it should go. So I like the organization. I think back in the 80s, there was some maybe some issue with United Way because I think it was found out some funds weren't getting used the way they should have, but that was so long ago, and I think because that happened in their past, they're very good now about showing how little money actually goes to run their organization, because there's always some percentage that has to go to just keeping the lights on in the buildings. I think these days they're there's a term for it, I can't remember what it is, but that whatever that percentage is to run the organization is really low. So most of the money goes to the programs that they have. Personally, I used to work at a company that would once a year do like a United Way drive, and not only it wasn't just about money, it was about going out and actually signing up for some things. And one year I remember we painted the house of an elderly lady that couldn't do it and couldn't afford it herself, and I still remember that, and I still feel good about it. I remember seeing her, and she was so happy that we were out there helping her with her house. So anyway, I've got some personal experience with that one, and I think they're a great group. So if it strikes a chord with you, see what you can do to help them.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna piggyback onto that and say I've had a similar experience with United Way, and it is an excellent organization. I was at the same company Chris was, and I was actually for the annual giving drive on the executive committee one year, and I got to take a couple field trips to a couple places that they support, the Beta House for teenage mothers, a couple other places, and it is amazing. They do such a wonderful job, and you're right. The vast majority of the money goes directly to the organizations, and very very little to overhead. So yes, United Way, it's a great organization.
There you go, UnitedWay.org. Check them out.
We're gonna start wrapping it up a little bit, and we're going to go to the pick of the week. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
This is the most stressful part of my whole week. It's trying to figure it out. You go. What did we do last time?
I went first last time, but I'll go first again. I have no problem with that.
All right, go first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So my pick of the week is a book, and the book is Art of Atari.
Oh, okay.
By Tim Lepetino.
Okay.
Chris, this is a book that you will absolutely want to get.
Yeah, this is me going to Amazon.com right now.
It is, Chris, this is such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. So, just to give a little background, I grew up on the Atari 2600.
You're such an old man.
Anybody who doesn't know what that is,
Look at this book.
It was a game console that had the worst graphics ever, but it was a new technology. So we didn't care.
Wait a minute. Are you actually having to describe what the 2600 is? Like, is it?
I'm just giving
people that don't know.
I'm just giving a little background as to why this book is so awesome. Okay. So you would go into a store and look at the games, right? And so you're looking at the covers of the game.
Oh, right. I see where you're going.
So,
I get it. Yeah.
So, okay, example, the game Adventure, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It was a little, you literally were a little square in the game. Yeah. And you would go, and there would be this primitive arrow that you would pick up, and it would just kind of hover over you. And there was a dragon that had a duck face, and so but it would follow you around. You'd have to kill it, or it would eat you, and you'd have to start over. So the graphics were horrible, but I played that game so many times. I loved that game so much. But the art on the cover did not indicate it was a beautiful painting on the cover of this. And so this book, that's the reason for this book. And I was reading, I just got it today. It was just released. Today is the release date. It was delivered to me today, and I was reading the introduction by the author. Actually, the foreword is written by Ernest Cline, who wrote Ready Player One.
Yeah, of course.
But so the author he had the same experience. Everybody had the same experience. The box covers would hook you, and it would give you, even though you were just a square, in your imagination you would be a knight, right? Or whatever, a tank or a baseball player, whatever you're supposed to be, and it would kind of make that connection for you between the game and the game cover of what it really, should be if graphics were what they could be. So this book is literally it's celebrating the artists who did this beautiful artwork, and it gives a history, a biography of each one. And it shows all of the art, and I'm flipping through it as I'm talking, but
I hear that. Yeah.
sorry, but Defender. I mean, it's like if you play the game, it's just this little bitty ship, and it's like blocks on the ground for the buildings, but the artwork is phenomenal. It shows this spaceship, and it's grabbing people to be sucked up into the spaceship, and it shows the buildings and people running from it, and it's just awesome. So anyway, I can't recommend this book enough if you are, especially if you're an Atari fan, but quite honestly, even if you just want to see some beautiful artwork, it's a beautiful book, big book. It even has a ribbon bookmark in it. I mean, it's a nice, beautiful book to own. So that's my pick of the week, The Art of Atari.
Man, I wish you had gone last because I can't follow that. That's a great pick. So,
well, I couldn't wait.
Yeah. So my wife often struggles to find me something for Christmas, so I think I'll put that on my wish list, and maybe Santa will bring it for me.
Yes.
That's a great pick, man. I got nothing. All right, my pick is this book called The Art of Atari. It's
okay. Do you really not have anything?
No, I
okay.
Can,
Can I do a follow up on my pick from last week?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So
it
was
funny you say that because I was driving home today and was thinking about what my pick's going to be. And I'm like, I wonder if he tried that thing if it worked.
I did. So at first I put just a recap real quick. I had bought a 1 terabyte hard drive, a portable hard drive, not anything spectacular, right? But the gimmick on this one is that it has a SD slot on the side. So you're supposed to be able to just pop a card in there and it downloads without any computer or anything. So the reason I bought it is because I go to, either on trips or, to a Rolex 24, and I shoot a lot of pictures, and I fill up memory cards, and it would be nice to just be able to have that sit in my bag and just pop it in and have everything transfer over to it to make sure that everything's safe, right? Mm-hmm. So at first I'm like, of course I didn't read any directions, so I put the SD card in, and nothing got transferred. I'm like, oh, what is this? So it turns out that you have to download the app, and once you download the app, it's kind of neat. You connect it to the hard drive, and then you can see everything on the hard drive on the app on your phone. But that's where you have to set to do the auto download. Mm-hmm. So I set it, and then I tried it, and so now it works. So I put the SD card in, and everything transfers over just automatically with nothing, no wires, no nothing, just whoop, and it's awesome.
Okay, so now you've doubled down on that pick.
Right? I have. So if my pick last week didn't convince anybody to try it, maybe this one will give them the confidence to spend the whatever $60 or whatever it is now.
Right.
I got it on sale, so but I think it's worth.
Cool. All right. Do you mind if I pick something now, or is there a third thing you want to throw out there?
Well, if you insist. Go ahead.
All right, now I got something. Ready?
Okay, awesome.
I'm gonna ride the wave of the theme of what we just talked about. So okay. I'm gonna pick the Raspberry Pi.
Oh,
So yeah, and in all of its incarnations. So we just talked about all Epcot and Steam being so important, especially if you have kids and you want to have them learn a bit more about the fundamentals of technology and stuff. These are the best little devices. They're $35 for just the starter board. You can usually get them in kits that come with a case and usually a keyboard or whatever. There are, if you're not familiar with them, they're just basic fundamental computers, but they're full computers on a little credit card size board. They have networking, they have USB on them, and there are you can either kind of just get one and try out a project that you want to try, or there are tons of books and pre-made kits and things that if you're into video games or you're into robotics or whatever, that you can pick and follow along with that. So hard to go wrong. It doesn't cost any amount of money. Lots to explore with it. In fact, I will go with the theme of Atari. You could even run an Atari emulator on these and get a feel for these. You won't get the awesome art, but if you had the book from Glenn of all the art, and then you run an Atari emulator on a Raspberry Pi, you can feel like it's 1984 all over again.
Nice.
So there you go. That's my pick. So
Awesome.
Raspberry Pi.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Terrific Recordings of Nothing. Follow Chris on Twitter and Instagram at CBGray, and Glenn on Twitter and Instagram at DizWiz. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Tron_FM, and on Facebook at Terrific Recordings of Nothing. For all things related to the show, including show notes and links to connect with us, visit us at tron.fm. All right, so Chris, we had a listener email us this week, and his question, Mark is his name, and his question is, he wanted to ask about the pros and cons of the iPhone 7 versus the 7 Plus. He says the 7 looks bigger in his hands, which is nice, but he's wondering about the features of the larger phone.
Does that mean
And the reason I'm bringing this to the after show is because you actually have the 7 Plus, so I figured you could.
So, are you saying this listener has small hands? Is that what you're implying? Because
I didn't specifically say that.
Okay, I
I'm
didn't
just
understand 'cause
reading.
you said
I'm just
the
reading
7 Plus
from his
seemed
email.
big in his
He
hands.
says the 7 looks bigger in his hands,
okay.
which is nice.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were implying like it was an optical illusion, because it was anyway. So the question is what? Like, is the 7 Plus better?
He's wondering about what features are in the 7 Plus that would cause him to go with it instead of the regular 7.
All right. So this is my opinion time.
Yes,
I'm fielding this one
because I
Okay.
can't.
Well, that's true.
Well,
I mean,
because
you could, okay.
I will say that I like. So I have the 6.
Yep. The tiny phone.
And it's not. It's a nice size. It's actually. I think it's a really really nice size.
Yeah, I know you think that.
But you have a different opinion, and so that's why we're.
So, and it's been kind of a journey through this. My opinion for this. So, I've had, I think, pretty much every model of iPhone that there's been. It's an occupational hazard, and so when the 6 came out and the 6 Plus, I had been playing with some Android phones that were larger then. So I went from the iPhone 5, and I'm like, I'm going all out for the bigger phone. The primary advantage there was, and again, mostly my phone is a camera that I happen to do other things with. So the larger one had optical image stabilization to it, which if you're doing pictures in low light, actually make quite a bit of a difference. So there was a pretty, at least from a photography angle, a significant reason to go with the larger size then. Mostly though, I wanted the larger screen because unlike say a television where a larger screen is just that, it's just a larger screen. The larger screen on the iPhones, you actually get more real estate. You're getting more pixels on there, so there's more. You're looking through a larger portal of whatever, if you're reading email web pages or whatever. So that's what I really wanted out of it, was to be able to have a better view. So I had this 6 Plus originally, but then when the 6S came out, I found that like the 6 Plus seemed unwieldy for some reason. So actually, I downsized to the smaller one when the 6S came out. But when the 7 came out, I said, you know what, I'm going to try the Plus one again. And I've had this one now for a couple of months, whatever it's been, and I find this a great size. So I don't know what's happened, because this is identical sizing to the 6S Plus from before, like down to the millimeter. It's exactly the same size, but I don't find it as large. So I think it's just I've had more time to get used to larger phones. I like it a lot. And the one benefit you get from this larger phone is it has 2 lenses in it. So you have a telephoto, quote telephoto lens, and a wide-angle lens, and there's some features you can do switching between those. And I've actually used that quite a lot. Even doing video, because you can switch while you're taking video or the pictures. So I've actually used that quite a bit. So I'm happy I have that. So, but the trouble with recommending anything is it's such a personal decision, because it depends on how comfortable people feel with it. It's certainly a trade-off. I mean, I can't reach the whole screen. I think I'm the only person on the planet who does. I use the reachability feature on the phone, which is you sort of like lightly double tap the home button and it slides it down so you can kind of reach the top row of things. I don't know anybody else uses that but me, but I use it constantly and it makes all the world of difference. And I've just gotten kind of used to I just kind of shimmy up and down the phone and move it around as needed. I found that the smaller one, just call it that, the regular non-plus version, it's at least for me, it's big enough that I can't really one-hand use it anyway. So if I'm going to have to use, adjust how I hold it, I might as well just get the larger phone. So, if it's me, that's what I run, the larger phone, I'd recommend it. Here's what I've said to actually probably 3 people so far. Apple or AT&T, they have pretty liberal return policies. Apple has a 2-week return policy on phones, so I'd say try the larger one. And if you find that after 2 weeks it's too big, then take it back and go get the other phone. So you can kind of get the feel for it. But other than that, there's really no difference these days. The camera, the lenses both have OIS on them. They're the same quality camera. You do get a little extra battery life out of a larger phone. I think like an extra hour or something over the smaller one, so you get a little bit of that. But for the most part, they're pretty much the same phone with just a larger screen and that extra lens on it.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that.
Well, I appreciate the question. Getting the show off the ground, and it's nice to start getting a little bit of feedback. And
yeah, and if anybody else has questions, you can go to tron.fm and see all of our show notes and get contact information. But you can email us at show@tron.fm.
Or follow us on Twitter at, what are we? At
Tron_FM.
There you go.
And then Facebook at...
Nobody uses Facebook.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, forget about Facebook. At Terrific Recordings of Nothing. And we actually have an Instagram account with nothing on it yet, but that's Tron_FM as well.
That's going to be all you. I don't even use my own Instagram.
I know. We'll find a use for it in January when we take some pictures.
Cool.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.